And our final speaker, Amy Salmon. Punked by the universe. Punked by the universe, Amy Salmon.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. It was a hot, hot Saturday morning in Austin, Texas in August of 1980. My phone rang. It was my friend Gary. He said, "Could you do me a favor?" I said, "Yes." He said, "You haven't even heard what the favor is." I said, "Doesn't matter. The answer is yes." Of course, the answer would be yes, because I was desperately, helplessly, hopelessly in love with Gary, and I was also indebted to him for life. I met Gary when I moved to Austin in June of 1980 during a heat wave with nothing. I had no car, no job, no money. I just had this ridiculous belief in myself, and I assumed that everything would be just fine. Well, the third day in Austin, I got a job where Gary worked. And it wasn't just that he was very welcoming and friendly and charming. When he heard that I had no furniture, he made a few calls, borrowed a pickup truck. Next thing you know, I've got a bed and a dresser and a table. When he learned that I didn't have any friends, he took me under his angel wing, and we ate lunch together every single day. On the 4th of July, he invited me to a picnic with his friends. I couldn't wait. You know, that's a big step in a relationship when they want you to meet their friends. As mentioned, very, very hot in Austin, Texas. So we go to the park. We're waiting for his friends to arrive. It's more than 100 degrees, but it's fine with me because I'm with Gary. Well, first his friend Daniel arrived with another friend. I noticed that Daniel was stunning. He looked exactly like a young Chuck Connors from the 1960s TV series, The Rifleman. He said to me, "Gary has told us that you are wonderful." Sounded just a little bit swishy. Then I looked over at Alexander, who didn't have to say anything to come across as just a little bit swishy. And then I looked from Alexander to Daniel to Gary and noted they were all three wearing identical white tank undershirts and jean cutoffs and work boots. And they had identical sparkling eyes, sparkling teeth, and perfect mustaches. "We're all gay!" Great! Outside I was smiling, but inside I could feel myself tumbling down that giant chute on the Chutes and Ladders game board that goes all the way from almost the very top straight down to the bottom of the door. But I was still in the game. I still loved Gary, and Gary still loves me. But I was still in love with Gary. And Gary was not, had never been, and would never be in love with me. But I was still in the game. I smiled when I met his friends Russell and Roland and Benjamin, and I smiled later that night after the fireworks when he took me to the gay bar and introduced me to all his gay friends, and I smiled at every gay party and every gay brunch that I went to in the weeks that followed. Hey, I was surrounded by handsome men, charming men. Life could be worse. So here we are, August 1980, and I get this call from Gary. Can you do me a favor? Of course the answer is yes. He says, I went to Houston last night and I came back with a friend, but I have to go in and work this morning. Could you entertain my friend? Well, I understood the code. He went to some new bar in Houston and met somebody, and he needed somebody to, you know, keep this guy happy. So I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Oh, one more thing. He doesn't speak English. on my front lawn stood the most strikingly, impossibly handsome man I had ever seen. He had that whole exotic, other side of the world, olive skin, jet black hair, Antonio Banderas, Julio Iglesias thing going on. I said, I am Amy. Let's walk. My house is hot. I am Abraham. I am speaking some English, and I'm not deaf. So I took the hike and bike trail down to Bart Springs, because I lived right on the access road, and this walk in the park was no walk in the park. Because I felt like I was doing a circus act where you have to keep all the plates spinning, just keep smiling, don't complain about the heat, use simple words, short sentences, look him in the eye when he's talking, don't use any figures of speech, don't bring up any uncomfortable subjects. Well, when we finally got to that creek right under the Barton Creek pool, I was exhausted and hot. And there was that creek, the one with the giant sign that says absolutely no swimming. Nobody was in there but dogs. I thought, I'm just gonna wade in. I'm just gonna wade in. So all I had on was a sundress, but it was kind of long, so I picked it up so I could walk in. Oh my God, that water felt so incredibly good. Well, next thing I know, Abraham's walked right past me and all the way into the water right up to his neck. He says, what does the sign say? It says, welcome to Austin. He says, it's good enough for dog, it's good enough for me. We laughed hard because it was ridiculous. There we were in the swamp in 100-degree weather, and he said, we shouldn't be getting along so well, in his broken English. And I said, why is that? Well, I'm from Iran, you're a Jew. I just met you today, and I like everything about you. So we got out of the water, and we lay down under a tree on the grass, side by side. And I was finally at the point where I knew I could relax. It had been hard work getting to this point. I'm lying side by side, and he slips his hand into mine in the sweetest, kindest, dearest gesture of friendship. It was his way of saying, I understand how hard you've been working. And I appreciate that you have given me your time today and your acceptance of me. How sweet was that? And then he took the fingers of his other hand and touched my wrist. I thought, that's nice. You know, like how some people, when they shake your hand, they bring that other hand in like that. And when his hand continued up my arm, past the crook of my elbow, to my neck and into my hair, I realized that Abraham was not gay. He was, in fact, very interested in touching every part of my body. And that was fine with me. So I got punked by the universe twice. First, when I assumed that a gay man was straight. Then again, when I assumed that a straight man was gay. And I learned two things from these experiences. Number one, be careful what you think you know about somebody. You're probably wrong. And number two, sometimes being wrong is all right.